all the pre-configured, preloaded with all the settings and the templates, and that takes only 7 weeks. It's very cost effective, and we can talk to you about the actual price of that offline. The second option is okay, you've got the spreadsheets, you've got the basics, but you need some more. You need some questionnaires to help you rank and score the projects. You need to customize the dashboards, and you need basic high-level resource supply and demand. And that's our level 2 solution, and that's a 10-week time frame for the services component. Obviously, you need to have the software licenses from SAP and the software installed, and then we'll come in and get you up and running in 10 weeks. And the final option really is what we're going to cover here today, which is maturity level 3, and that's where we have a fully integrated solution between PPM and the ECC system. That's a 13-week delivery, and includes everything you get in level 1 and 2, plus that integration to ECC and the closed-loop resource management. And if you're running CATs then we'll pull those actuals right back into the portfolio management through the CATs time entry interface. So that way we align our solutions with your maturity, and we're bundled it into fixed price, very cost effective, very short duration projects to help you get up and running with PPM. Let's take a look at resource management, or closed loop resource management, as SAP views the world. And very quickly, just you start off item number 1, where there's a project manager creates a resource demands, and in this scenario here we have a resource manager who searches for resources and staffs the project with a suitable resource, and we'll get into suitability and what that means later on. The project manager can accept or decline that offer, and there's some options there for hard booking and soft booking as well of resources. Now you can then assign the resources to specific tasks within a project. You don't have to, but you can, and again we'll look at that later on. And after that, you just get on with execution. You enter time to the project, you enter progress against the tasks, and all those actuals flow back in through PPM all the way up through the hierarchy and are reportable at various different levels. And you start again. So that's how SAP sees closed loop resource management. Let's take a look at this in terms of as a real process here. In this case, we'll start with a very high level proposal for a project. So we just got the kind of header level information, and that's created as a portfolio item within PPM. We then want to do a rough order of magnitude estimate, so we start to break out the roles, and we start to plan out the roles at a high level. And so we get options of doing that in portfolio management or the project management component. But in terms of the process, we're starting at the very high level, and we're working our way down into the detail. Then we want to start breaking out that estimate into a little bit more detail. And so we break down, for example, some of those roles into our lower level of role within the project management component of PPM. So to start with, we're in the portfolio item where you can throw data in very, very quickly. And then as we get closer towards a starting point of a project, we can incrementally increase the level of detail. And finally, when we're ready to start the project, we can staff the project and charge time to that project. So that's how a simple process walkthrough within how it's going to look in SAP. And we'll jump into the screens in a little moment. Now, in terms of cost benefit, this is really important because the project has to be seen as not just a business process, but also a financial success. And some of the numbers out there are quite compelling. These are very conservative numbers. If you look at a company with $25 million project budget, well, industry standard numbers, or industry numbers tell us that 15% of IT projects are outright failures, and 51% of projects are just classed as marginal success. Typically they're over time and over budget. Now, implementing PPM can give us a 20% reduction in outright failures and a 10% improvement in the marginal successes. And again, these are conservative numbers. We have seen clients who have had 50% improvement rates. And so conservative numbers generate a benefits case of over $2 million for a project budget of $25 million. And the cost of these projects is, you know, anything down to a tenth of that total benefit cost. So you can see there that the return on investment is, you're talking weeks and months as opposed to years. So what I want to do now is I want to jump into the system, actually show you some screens from the system, and when we get through those and get into the Q&A session, we'll actually jump into the actual live client and hopefully answer some of those questions real time. But because I get so much to show you, I wanted to just screen capture these screens, and then we can jump into the system as time permits. So I'm going to flip onto the system. There's a lot to show, and I want to get through it so we can get to the questions and so you can get your questions answered. First of all, this is PPM 5.0, and what you see along the top where you see roles, these roles are assigned to you by administration. In this case, you see I've got portfolio management. I'm in the portfolio management tab. And authorization within this tool is completely different to standard SAP. We're not going to cover that today, but it's certainly something that we can explain offline or later if you're curious about it. But what I have here is a very simple portfolio structure. And in terms of IT portfolio, I've got projects run by IT for the business, and I've got internal IT projects, and then I've got overheads support type projects. If we look inside one of those buckets, let's take a look in the internal IT projects bucket. You'll see here I've got this overview tab, and there's a bunch of information that we capture against each of those buckets. Now within each of those buckets, we then have an item dashboard, and the items really correspond to the project. The reasons they're called items and not projects, well, the term project exists within PPM separately, but also because items are designed to be captured way in advance of a project actually starting. So you can use this tool to actually plan out many years in advance, and then you create a rolling plan concept. So items are the concept used to track an idea through a project and ultimately through close as well. So you can report on the history and continually improve. So that's the term item, and this is the item dashboard. Now this item dashboard is completely configurable. I can pick and choose the fields, the sort, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of functionality there. But within the bucket, I have the capacity planning capability, and this is really the 50,000-foot view of closed-loop resource management. This is a very high level, and I start with something called the capacity category. In this case, because it's IT, you might recognize the breakout applications, business, infrastructure, and other. If we break into the infrastructure, you'll see here, you recognize some of these groupings, which are almost like role groupings, and these are completely configurable. So however your organization breaks down its resources in its hierarchy is configurable within your tool. This is just one example. So let's take a look within one of these role groupings. In this case, it's the basis team. And you'll see here they've got a number of views. These views are the lowest level. And what they actually capture here, again, this is configurable, but typically the views for capacities are fairly set. I have got an overall capacity at a very high level. That's my availability, my supply.